Imagine packing your whole life into one suitcase, leaving your family, your friends, your home, everything you've ever known behind, chasing a dream you've only seen in movies, on TV, and all over the internet. Then you land, and reality looks nothing like you imagined. This video is about the American dream, a phrase we've all heard 1,000 times, but one most of us don't actually understand. Today I want to answer a few questions. Why do millions of people still move to America every year? Why is the American dream slowly fading? What actually happened to it? And is it still possible to achieve? Grab something good to eat and let's get into it. Everyone's heard the term American dream, but where did it actually come from? To answer that, we have to go back in history. The phrase first appeared between the 19th and 20th centuries during a massive wave of European migration to the United States. Essentially, a mass movement of entire nations. The idea behind it was simple. Anyone, through hard work, skill, and courage, could build a real career, better their life, and reach financial independence, no matter what family they were born into. At its core, the dream stood for a few basic things: owning your own home, being financially independent, having health care, getting an education, and landing a job you could actually build a life on. The people who achieved it became household names: Barack Obama, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Michael Jackson. But over time, the meaning shifted. People started associating the American dream with wealth, expensive cars, huge houses, vacations most people could only dream about. That's how the illusion was born, and it drifted further and further from what the dream was originally about. It was never meant to be about piling up wealth. It was meant to be about doing work that actually fulfills you. Why did people believe in it so deeply? And why is that belief fading now? As humans, we need something to believe in, something solid. And the American dream gave people exactly that. The belief that they were in control of their own life, that no matter where they came from, they could shape their own future with their own hands. It gave them hope, and I say hope deliberately, because for most people, that's really all it ever was. Hollywood ran with it. Movie after movie showed ordinary people rising from nothing to become stars. Big houses, perfect families, flawless smiles. The same image repeated endlessly across TV, advertising, and music until nobody questioned it anymore. It became gospel. By the second half of the 20th century, almost every American believed in this dream. Today, the picture looks completely different. Less than half of Americans still believe it's realistically achievable. So what happened? Where did the gap between the movies and reality actually open up? The first lie was that hard work alone guarantees success. In reality, nobody reached the top on hard work alone. They also needed the right timing, the right connections, and a fair amount of luck. The second lie shifted the goal itself, away from stability, family, and meaningful work, and towards simply owning more than your neighbor. And it's exactly this chase after status, instead of the things that actually matter, that leaves so many people crashing into a financial reality no movie ever warned them about. Money is only half the problem. The other half is something Americans call hustle culture, the culture of non-stop grinding. In Europe, a 40-hour work week is the norm. In the US, working 50, 60, or even more hours a week, often including weekends, is completely normal. Why? Because in American culture, constant work is treated as a virtue. Work less and you're seen as lacking ambition. But that constant grind has a cost, a very literal one. Chronic exhaustion leads to sleep problems, heart issues, a weakened immune system. The human body simply isn't built to run without rest for years on end. And then there's the mental toll on top of that. Burnout, anxiety, and depression are becoming more and more common among American workers, especially those juggling 2 jobs just to stay afloat. So people are working harder than ever, but instead of getting closer to the dream, they're just getting more exhausted. And that's only the beginning of the psychological price this dream demands. Exhaustion from work is just one layer. Underneath it sits something deeper, something almost everyone who moves abroad ends up feeling. Loneliness, not physical loneliness. You're surrounded by millions of people, but a real inner loneliness. Your family is thousands of kilometers away. Your childhood friends are living out their best years without you, and building real, meaningful relationships in a new country takes years, not months. It's in that loneliness that a lot of people finally admit something to themselves. They're stuck. Work, rent, insurance, loans, a cycle that gets harder and harder to break out of. You can't afford to stop working, but working isn't taking you anywhere either. You're not moving forward, you're just maintaining what you already have. And that's when the frustration hits. Because this isn't what the dream was supposed to look like. People expected freedom. What they got instead was a different kind of cage, just with a nicer coat of paint. And that's the moment the comparisons start. What would my life look like if I'd just stayed home? Sure, I might earn less, but I'd have more time, more people who actually know me, less stress over the next bill. An inner conflict kicks in. Going back can feel like admitting defeat, but staying means holding on to something that stopped delivering on its promise a long time ago. And it's exactly this conflict that makes more and more people ask themselves, was this really the right choice? The dream sounds beautiful on paper, but what do the actual numbers say? What does it cost to live this American dream today? In New York, average rent runs somewhere between $3,400 and $4,100 a month, more than the average American even earns in a month. Basic health insurance costs at least $350 a month per person. For an average family, that's $800 to $1,400 a month. And if you just need to call an ambulance, expect a bill around $1,200, insured or not. And people are often in debt before they've even earned their first paycheck. The average college graduate today walks out with about $30,000 in student debt. Some young people cross $40,000 before they've even finished their degree. Rent, insurance, loans, it all adds up so fast that more and more people need 2 jobs just to cover the basics. And some can't manage even that. Entire families are living out of the cheapest motels because they simply can't afford normal rent. So how did we even get here? For that, we have to go back to 2008. Banks were handing out enormous loans to people who could never realistically pay them back, luring them in with a simple pitch. Buy the house now, worry about paying for it later. Luxury vacations, new cars, big houses, no longer just for the wealthy. Suddenly, it looked like anyone could afford them. But behind that apparent prosperity was an inflated illusion. People weren't just building a life anymore. They were building a social status. On the surface, the economy looked like it was growing, but wages barely moved. The whole system ran on debt, and nobody expected how fast it could all come apart. In 2008, that bubble burst. It turned out the American economy had been running on constant borrowing the whole time, and the fallout didn't stay in the US. It hit almost the entire world. Stocks crashed, banks collapsed, and for millions of people, a lifetime savings disappeared almost overnight. People lost their jobs and their homes at the same time. The old idea that one working parent could support an entire family fell apart for good. In more and more households, both partners had to work just to cover the basics. Owning a home, once the clearest symbol of the American dream fulfilled, turned into a crushing burden for a lot of people. People asked themselves how something they'd worked toward for years could collapse so fast. Governments and central banks stepped in to stop a total collapse, printing trillions of new dollars and bailing out the banks and the wider financial system. It worked in the short term, but it came at a price. All that new money caused inflation. The more dollars flooded into circulation, the less each one was worth. People who already owned stocks or real estate often came out ahead as the value of their assets climbed. The middle class felt the exact opposite. Food, housing, cars, healthcare, rent all got more expensive, while wages barely moved. Every new wave of money printing widened the gap between the wealthy and everyone else a little further. And that widening gap is a big part of why so many people today are working more than ever and can afford less than ever. After all that, what actually is the American dream today? Is it still something worth believing in? Try asking yourself, what does real freedom actually mean to you? You might find you're already living your version of the dream. For me, freedom was never about owning the most expensive car, the biggest house, or getting the most attention. To me, it means being able to decide how I spend my time, what work I do, and how I want to live without constantly worrying about the next bill. And that's really where the biggest misunderstanding crept in. The dream was never supposed to be an obligation to achieve luxury. It was supposed to be the possibility of working toward something better. Today, though, it looks different. Social media only shows us the highlight reel, influencers, luxury trips, and courses promising to help us achieve all of it too. It creates the impression that this is normal life, the dream everyone should be chasing, even moving abroad for. But behind the screen, the reality looks completely different. Most people you see online are dealing with the same problems as everyone else. They just never show you that part. And that's really the core of the whole issue. The gap between what's possible and what's realistic. In theory, everyone today has an equal shot. The internet, education, information, all within reach. But in practice, when everyone technically has a chance, it usually means only a handful actually take it. The middle class keeps shrinking, and opportunity keeps concentrating at the top, which is exactly why it's worth stepping back and looking at things from where we stand. Sure, we maybe have smaller salaries, smaller apartments, fewer chances of turning something into $1 billion business, but we also have more time, more peace of mind, and a lot less of the existential fear that drives most people forward. And maybe that's exactly why it's worth rethinking what freedom really means to us. Not how much we own, but how well we actually live. The system earlier generations relied on isn't nearly as solid as it used to be. So, what about you? Have you ever dreamed of chasing the American dream yourself? I have, but looking back, honestly, I'd be just as happy traveling for the experiences and coming home with a suitcase full of memories, not debt. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a like or a subscribe, and I'd love to hear your own opinion or experience with America in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you Saturday for another interesting topic.